I wonder what a blissful blast actually feels like. Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch, and today we're going to take a look at Blissey V, a very exciting card from Chilling Reign. It's a very interesting deck concept for sure. This one brought to you by Cashman, who came 19th with this deck list in the recent Chill TCG series tournament that had over 500 players in it over on play.limitless.com. So make sure you jump over there and check out all of the deck lists that were involved in that tournament. There's plenty of good information there. Regardless, let's jump across to PTCGO and check out the list. So here is the deck list. It's also down in the description if you'd like to copy it into PTCGO. Feel free to do that. And whilst you're down there, see if we can give that video a like. I'd really appreciate it. If we can hit 400 likes, then I'll jump on and do another stream on Saturday. How does that sound? That sounds good. I'm probably going to do that stream anyway, but still, you know, like the video. That'd be great. Let's talk about the deck. We've got Blissey V as the focal point of our deck. You'll notice it's the only Pokemon that we actually have here. It is 4 Blissey V, and that is it. It's a really, really interesting deck list, but it works pretty well. It's got an ability, Natural Cure. It doesn't really come up too much, right, from this particular deck, but sometimes it can. Whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to this Pokemon, it recovers from all special conditions. It means that it can't be paralyzed or poisoned or things like that, which is very, very good, but again, not necessarily the reason we play the card. The reason we play it is for its attack, Blissful Blast, which is a hell of an attack name, to be brutally honest. For 1 colorless energy, it deals 10 damage, plus it deals 30 more for every energy attached to this Pokemon, and that's an attack that we've seen quite a bit recently. In fact, it's a very similar attack to the one that Shadow Rider Calyrex uses. But this particular card does something that those cards don't. It has a second effect that means that we attach up to 3 energy from our discard pile to this Pokemon after we attack. So our first attack will do 40 damage, and then we'll attach 3 more energy. And then the next turn we'll attach another energy, and we'll be dealing so much more damage than we normally would be. This can potentially get up to some really, really high numbers, like 3 times tables, right? If you get 10 energy on this, they can do 310 damage, which is incredible. Also, it has 250 HP. I don't know if you can see up there. That's a big amount of HP for a basic Pokemon. So we're going to pair that up with 4 copies of Cape of Toughness to give it 300 HP. It has almost VMAX levels of HP as a 2-prize Pokemon, which is incredible. You'll notice that the deck not having any other Pokemon means that we can be a little bit more creative with some of the other cards that we play. Obviously, energy is very important. We can play powerful colorless energy to deal extra damage with our attacks. We can do draw energy. We can use draw energy, to draw more cards. One of the cool cards in this deck list is Lucky Energy, which is a card that's come from Chilling Reign that hasn't seen a lot of hype, but in this deck it's really, really good. Get them attached to your Blissey, and then if your opponent hits into you, you draw cards for the start of your next turn. So for every lucky energy you have, you draw an extra card, which is fantastic. It means that we don't necessarily need to have any of those support Pokemon as long as we have lucky energy on our attacker. We also have cards like Hyper Potion to be able to heal damage off, which is incredibly good, especially when we have 300 HP. And we also have Weak Guard energy to try and get rid of the weakness that we'd face from things like Single Strike and Rapid Strike Urshifu, meaning that most decks aren't actually going to be able to one-shot us. Zapdos can be a bit of a pain though, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Frankly, my favourite card that's in this list is Milo, which you might say, Mitch, why do you have 4 copies of Full Art Milo? Like, why did you do that? Well, I don't know, but I did, and now I finally get a chance to use them. We can discard up to 2 cards from our hand and draw 2 cards for every card that we discarded. I don't think I could say card anymore in that sentence, but I did. And this means we can actually discard a couple of energy from our hand and draw 4 cards, not only giving us a little bit of extra consistency, but also putting energy in the discard pile for us to attach to our Blissey. Finally, the other important supporter in this deck is Hapu. We've not seen this one for a while, but it's very, very good. You look at the top 6 cards of your deck, choose 2, and put the rest in the discard pile, which means that you can put a lot of energy in the bin in the early game. I mean, there's 18 of the energy in the deck, so you're likely to be discarding them. Overall, I think this is a really good deck. I really struggled to figure out what to say there, but I think this is really good. So I'm going to take it out onto the ladder, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can blissfully blast some people into submission. Now, one of the big problems that this Blissey deck has is that it gives our opponent a lot of cards on the mulligan. Obviously, we do have to wait until we find one of our 4 Blissies, but we know we're always going to start with one of them. So let's get started here. I'm thinking that Guzma and Hala is a good supporter to play. We will discard 2 cards. I'm going to get rid of the Powerful Colorless and the Weakness Guard. I'm going to grab a Path of the Peak, a Cape of Toughness, and then we get to choose an energy. And to be honest, we might grab like a Lucky Energy. Actually, maybe it's smarter to get another Powerful Colorless here, I think, because they've got a Sobble in the active, yeah. So let's grab Powerful Colorless out of the deck as well. We can play down the Path of the Peak, not that Ice Rider really cares about it. We can attach, we can, actually no, we don't want to play the Straw Energy, we want to play the Powerful Colorless Energy. Then we can play down another Blissey, and then Blissful Blast will knock out the Sobble in the active, and we'll attach 2 energy from the discard pile whilst taking our first prize. And you can see how this deck can very, very quickly start to ramp up damage. Dealing 60 damage for 1 is pretty okay, but now we are dealing, what, 3, 6, 9, 100, 140 for 3, which is very good. Plus, we'll be attaching more energy next turn, so we could potentially put a bit of pressure on this Calyrex. I don't think we can ever knock it out, but we can definitely get pretty close. I mean, for every Powerful Colorless Energy that we have, we deal 50 damage, so I don't think we can ever get there. If we had had another energy in the bin, then we might have been able to, but I don't think that we're going to at this present moment. I'm just going to move my microphone just a little bit closer to my face, so that you can hear me a little bit better. Our opponent has put Marshadow into the active, which is a risky move. Let's draw energy onto the bench. We'll just get ourselves an extra card. Then I'll Hapu. Take a look at the top cards in the deck, see what we can find. Oh, a Milo. Only 1 energy is disappointing. Let's grab Research and Guzma, maybe? Guzma Hala? I think that seems fine. Although we could use we could potentially have used the Quick Ball there to get another energy into the discard pile. But you know what? We don't need to. I'm not super worried. We are going to take another knockout on Marshadow here. And our opponent really needs to get cracking, or otherwise our Blissey is going to get out of control. It needs to be dealt with immediately, or otherwise there will be trouble. And this Calyrex is now within range of being knocked out. We are doing 3, 6, 9, 12, 130... 170 in total, so we might be able to get a knockout if we get another like Powerful Colorless Energy potentially, which we can get with Guzma Hala. I think that's going to knock him out. Does that knock him out? Maybe. Maths is hard. This is a deck where I need to do maths, and I don't like that, as people who have watched me before know. Now, I know for a fact that I cannot knock out this Calyrex, so we are going to Guzma and Hala here. I'll get rid of these 2 lucky energies into the discard pile. We'll grab let's grab a Draw Energy and a Cape of Toughness, I think, because we can attach the Draw Energy to the bench if we want to, or we can just attach it to the active. I think the bench is the smarter deal. Hyper Potion, you say? Well, well, well. That's very, very interesting. I think we're going to Hyper Potion this Blissey. We're going to get rid of the 2 not Powerful Colorless Energies. And that will mean that now we have 290 HP left. We cannot be knocked out by this Calyrex. We only deal a little bit of damage, only 110, but we can get these lucky energies that we discarded and attach them to our Blissey, so that next turn when the Calyrex attacks into us, we'll draw 2 more cards, which is pretty gosh darn good if I don't say so myself. Now, what can our opponent do? I don't think that, unless they've got, like, Tool Scrapper, they cannot take a knockout this turn. Now, obviously, it is worth noting that Tool Scrapper would be a problem, but I don't think that Ice Rider's playing Tool Scrapper that much, especially since the slightly more shady dealings in Teleon-focused lists have been floating around. People tend to be playing more consistency cards rather than techs. So let's just see. They're going to use Boss's Orders. Okay. So they're going to bring out the Blissey that has 2 draw energy on it. And that's fine by me. I'm not too worried about that. Because we can escape rope and knock out whatever they bring forward. Or not whatever they bring forward, but we can put a lot of pressure on whatever they bring forward. Hopefully they just give us a Sobble or a Drizzle if we do that. But we might not need to escape rope, to be honest. We could just continue to attack into this Calyrex, depending on the situation. They're just going to hit into us. They're going to do 250, so they've decided, okay, it is worth taking as big a hit as possible. I'm going to Quick Ball away the Path to the Peak. We're going to grab a Blissey. Then I will quick ball that Blissey away to grab the final Blissey. Our opponent needs to knock out 3 of these to win the game. I will use the escape rope. We'll see which Pokemon our opponent chooses to bring forward. I'm thinking it will be Sobble or Drizzle. I cannot imagine that they would utilize any other Pokemon in the active. Especially since they risk getting knocked out if they put the Ice Rider forward. But you never know. Sometimes people make decisions that you're not 100% on board with. All I know is that our opponent is taking a long time to make the decision. Whatever their decision is, it's taking a long time to come to fruition here, which is a bit tedious, but that's okay. Just sit and wait. Got any plans for the weekend? Gonna probably play Pokemon this weekend, I'd imagine. There we go, they've decided to play. That was so long. That was such a long time. Okay, we've got a Hyper Potion here if we want to use it. I think it's worth using, to be honest, just because we want to get more energies on this Blissey in the active. 3, 6, 9, 12, 150, 160, 190... Plus, okay, so if we attach this capture energy to the active, we can knock out this Calyrex. Is that worth doing? I think it's probably worth doing. There's no Pokemon left, obviously, so we don't need to worry about that. Then we will Blissful Blast, knock out the Ice Rider in the active, and attach 3 more energy to our Blissey. And now, we are in a position where our Blissey has so much energy attached to it that almost anything they put into the active will be one-shot by us. In fact, the fact that we've already hit into the Ice Rider Calyrex means that we definitely will be able to do that. So, we are in a winning position here, as long as everything remains the same. The last thing we want to see is like a Tool Scrapper and then a Melanie Water Attachment knockout here. That would be brutal, but even in saying that, right, even if that were to happen, then we would still have a pretty solid chance of winning the game, purely because we can get multiple energies on multiple Blisseys. Because they need to take 3 knockouts. Our opponent has to take 3 knockouts, which is something that these kind of decks really struggle to do sometimes. They're more designed to hit into big VMAX Pokemon and take 2 knockouts instead of 3. So, hopefully, we can get ourselves on the board here. We can get ourselves the boss onto the Calyrex and knock that out. That would be great. But in saying that, now that I've said that, we are going to get Marnied, which is disappointing. I'm trying my best to not say that I'm going to get Marnied, to be brutally honest. But sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes you just say it. Sometimes you just say it. I think they might have searched it out, to be honest. I was just too busy talking about it. I can't remember exactly what was happening. But regardless, we have a pretty solid chance here. We've got a Pokégear, so we need to hit our last boss. Let's place the draw energy on our fresh Blissey. We will Cape of Toughness. If we find a boss off of this, we win the game. And we do. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Remove that Calyrex. Bang. How much damage is this? 300 and something? 320! Would have knocked out anything in the game. Blissey's pretty powerful. Wouldn't want to meet it in a dark alley. A double Blissey start for us. Very aggressive. We have Powerful Colorless Energy and a Pokégear, and our opponent has done nothing. They didn't even Intrepid Sword then. What's up with that? We don't have a supporter. That's really bad. Draw energy, maybe. Okay, beautiful. Milo, fantastic. Discard the 2 energy, draw 4 cards. That seems like a good place to be. We will play down Path to the Peak. We'll play down Cape of Toughness. Everything's coming up here. Blissful Blast. Deals 40 damage, and we get to attach 2 energy, which is pretty solid. We don't have a lot going on here. I wonder why they didn't Intrepid Sword. It's one of those decks where they just forgot that they could do it, probably. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what we're up against here. The Aurora energy suggests to me that we're up against ADP, and the Darkness energy suggests to me that it's ADP Moltres, so there you go. That question was immediately answered, and now we're getting Marnied, and I'm A-okay with that. I like to see it. Thank you for Marnieing me, friend, and you've Marnied me into a fantastic group of cards. We've got Milo and 3 energy, so we can discard 2 of those with Milo, draw 4 cards, and then another card with draw energy, which will be fantastic. We'll get ourselves a bunch of energy in the discard pile, and we'll also have a big, powerful Blissey in the active that could potentially take a nice, big knockout for us. Now, our opponent is going to switch into the ADP, fair enough. They don't want their Zacian being knocked out. Now they're going to Intrepid Sword, fair enough, and they've got the energy as well. So let's see what we've got. A third Blissey. Not necessarily the best card we could have got there, but that's fine. We will Milo. And I guess we're just going to remove this with Path of the Peak. We'll just replace that. I'm going to play the Draw Energy on the bench. Another Cape of Toughness is fine by me. We will just Blissful Blast and half hit this ADP. We'll do 120, attach a couple of extra energy, and that means that next turn, if they do get their GX attack off, which is obviously their priority, we will be able to knock out the ADP and potentially put some pressure on to another Pokemon like Zacian. Now, it is worth noting that Zacian is actually going to really struggle against Blissey here because it cannot knock it out in one shot, which is a big problem. That's also a big problem. The fact that they bossed down our Blissey that can't knock it out is a big problem. Maybe we can get a Pokégear. We've got a Research or a Hapu. I think actually Research is better here. Let's grab the Research. Oh, actually, play the Path. Play the Path of the Peak. Then we will, let's just let it rip. Let's just rip this hand. We don't need the extra Blissey. We've got a Powerful Colorless Energy, Lucky Energy, bunch of stuff, but nothing particularly good. We're just going to have to attach to the active and then Blissful Blast and attach the Fire Energy. It's a bit of a shame we didn't get the knockout on the ADP, but you know what? We can live with it. As long as our opponent doesn't take a knockout this turn, it should be fine. They replace the Path and they have the Moltres, which is interesting. And they're not going to be attacking, which is the most important thing. Which means that we will get a knockout on the ADP right now. And we've got a Quick Ball, so we can actually get some more energy into the discard pile. We'll get rid of the Lucky Energy, and we'll leave the Blissey in there. I just don't want to get more wild. It's come back again. And we've just harpooed into 0 energy, which is a very sad amount of energy to Hapu into. I'll grab Hapu and Boss's Orders. I will attach a Weakness Guard energy, and then Blissful Blast will take the knockout, and then attach an energy from the discard pile. But we would have preferred to have seen a couple of extra energies there. But you know what? It's fine. It's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. Look at this. We're actually going to just grab a bunch of energies off of the prizes regardless. Now, our opponent needs to do something special here. They need, like, Tool Scrapper, and then like double knockout. It's unlikely that they get it, but they definitely could. In saying that, they've probably Intrepid sorted into a supporter like a Research or something, which would be quite frustrating. If they do knock out the Blissey, then we've got a second Blissey to follow up with, and we've got the Cape of Toughness in our hand. So if they do Tool Scrapper and remove our 2 capes, we at least have another one, which is fantastic. Looks like they're actually just going to hit into the Blissey here, which is even better for us. We get to draw a card, and we don't get knocked out, which I'm a massive fan of. Now we are going to discard a bunch of energies. We'll throw those into the discard pile, and then I think we just attach to the bench, and then just Hapu, I guess. We don't really need to do anything other than that. Let's just thin ourselves out. We'll grab the Escape Rope. We'll grab the Boss. I don't think we need anything else. We can just Blissful Blast, knock the Zacian out here, and attach a couple of extra energy. We will just throw down the 3 that we have in the bin already. I think we're about to win this game. I think Blissey's about to come out on top in this one. And this is one of the problems with the old ADP Zacian Moltres deck, is that sometimes it does clunk up. It's got a lot of things that it asks for. Now, again, we could actually still lose this game. If they get Tool Scrapper and Darkness Energy, then we are pretty close to losing. Luckily for us, the Moltres can only deal 220 damage. If it was a Zacian, then we would be in trouble. But I think, regardless, even if they do get the Tool Scrapper, we should be good to go on and win this game. Although I am a little bit frightened. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus. I think we should be okay. I think we should be fine. Especially considering we've got the Boss's Orders in hand. We can just knock the Dedenne out. And they've researched instead of using Marnie, which means that, yes, I think now we should be fine to win. There's that Tool Scrapper, so they definitely could have had that earlier. We lose one of our big Blisseys. unfortunately, but our opponent only takes 2 prizes. The issue that I am concerned about, is there a way for our opponent to knock this Blissey out? They would need Zacian double Metal Saucer, Energy, and Switch, which is a lot of cards to ask for, but it could happen. There's 2 of them. There is 2 of them. Am I about to be very sad? I feel like I'm about to be very sad. They're taking way too long. I don't think they have it. If they had have had it, then they would have done it by now. Now they're just going, oh, actually, I think I lose here. Energy Spinner. There's the attachment. No, there's not. There's no attachment. And a Mew. Alright. Now they're Crobatting. They need double Saucer Energy off of that Crobat. I don't think they've got it. I don't think they've got it, ladies and gentlemen. I think Blissey is going to come across the line here. We are going to blissfully blast something into eternity here. Our opponent hits into us for not quite enough. We're going to boss this Mew out, and we're going to blow it up. Too much damage, 210, and we are forced to attach 3 energies before the game will finish, which is always fun. But there you go. Blissey's done the job for us twice against 2 pretty good decks. So there is the deck, but how good is this thing really? Well, I mean, ultimately, it works pretty well. Playability-wise, I'm giving this one a B. It's not quite top tier, but it can definitely take big knockouts, and we saw that happen. Its biggest problem, though, is its consistency. It is very slow on startup, and if your opponent does interrupt you in any way, then it can be a real problem to get Blissey attacking consistently. Value-wise, it is pretty cheap. Obviously, you will need to get the Blisseys, and there are a number of kind of awkward cards that you wouldn't use in other decks in this list, which is why I've lowered the value score a bit. But ultimately, it is a lot of fun. Dealing a lot of damage for a lot of energy is a fun thing to do, and it's always good going through your discard pile and attaching a bunch of powerful colorless energy. Overall, a B grade for Blissey, and I think that's fitting considering the name of the card. But most importantly, we actually get to knock off another Pokemon from the OG 150 challenge. Chansey, which obviously evolves into Blissey, is gone, which means that we've only got a few more Pokemon to go. We haven't actually looked at the OG 150 for a bit. Maybe that's something that I'll look into next week. Let me know down below, what decks do you think I should look at? I've got Dugtrio and Gengar in my sights, actually, plus Steelix. There's so many different Pokemon I could play. So thank you everyone for coming along, appreciate your attendance as usual, and thank you very much to all of these lovely people over here who are members of the channel. We are 14 members away from doing our 100 member sub tournament, so if you're interested in seeing that, then make sure you jump down below and click the join button that is next to subscribe. You should have already clicked that one though, but that's fine. It costs less than $3 a month if you are interested to support the channel in a monetary capacity. Thank you very much to Dadbot, Azazel, and Wilds Depot, who are all ascended members. You guys are legends, the most attractive of them all. I've got it on good authority. Also, Royal Sableyes, Fernando, YOLO, Stephen Ty, Edge Enable, Austin Josiah, Leaf Devour, Rosie, Brad, Chings, Brad, Justin, Crocker, Darko, Drew, and Brad. There's almost so many of them I can't say them in one breath anymore, plus all of these people over here in white are Mega Sableyes, and they're just as good. So thank you very much everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes.